I love microphone. I love desk.
Eric, are you randomly naming things that you can see?
I love Altuve. I love Alvarez.
Eric, are you just naming bobbleheads because you love them and you see them in front of you?
I love Astros.
Do you really love the Astros, or are you just saying that because you saw it?
I love Astros. I love Astros. And I love Lamp.
Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Vierling's back. This game is turned upside down. There's the runner. Fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
Hello, San Diego. Keep it classy. I'm just kidding. Hello, Houston, and keep it classy. This is the Locked On Astros podcast, and we are your team every day, and we just want to do something a little bit different today, and it is Valentine's Day, so we just want to kind of throw it up and say we love Lamp and do something from Anchorman. If you haven't watched Anchorman, you are missing something. That was a great comedy. Will Ferrell and everybody that was in it was just that was great. So, guys, my name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talk Stros. You can find the show at Locked On Astros. And Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse. They can find me at Twitter, at H-Town Wheelhouse, and Instagram and TikTok, pretty much everywhere you get your socials. You can also find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive. Positive were kind of a big deal, always Stros.
Alrighty, don't talk to me in Spanish, but this episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook, official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. And guys, I just want to say Happy Valentine's Day to all the women in all everybody's lives and all the significant others, because baseball season is coming, and you're going to have to deal with people like Eric and Brett being obsessed with baseball for 5 to 6 months. And so that's a good thing. And so thank you to all the women in our lives who have to deal with that. And hopefully you have somebody who likes baseball to make it a little bit more fun. But happy Valentine's Day to everybody, and I hope you had a good one. And speaking of putting love into something, y'all might remember this Alex Bregman. This was the Alex Bregman that I broke on the podcast last year. So he's alive and well, and his season took off after I broke both his arms off, and it's shattered across the room. So everything's good with him. I just wanted to give an update there.
Yeah, that's right. That was a great moment. You know, that's one of those moments that you can never recreate or fabricate. It just kind of happens. And that was a great moment. My mom is actually watching right now, and she felt so bad for you. She actually got on to me for laughing at you, thinking that I was poking fun at you. So just know that my mom comes to Eric's defense before she comes to my defense on the show. But I love what Mr. Corona says here. He says, what I love is that Locked On Astros will be posting videos more regularly. Yeah, you know, us too. And Mr. Corona, let me just say this for those of y'all that are listening and watching. When we do have that interim time where it's only like 3 shows a week, it gives us a time to breathe and regroup and plan. And we're working on planning for this year. We're going to have a little bit more set structure post game for some things. And hopefully we'll be getting even more interviews with me going to spring training here in a few weeks, Eric. Hopefully we can get some content, get some interviews we can put up on different episodes. I don't want to dump them all at once, but just pepper them in there. Just see what the players have to say, maybe have them talk to Locked On Astros Nation. But, I mean, it's almost like what isn't there to be happy about with the Astros? Because, Eric, this team, if you are not in love with the Astros and you are a Houston resident or a Houston proper resident, then you probably don't like baseball, because this team is the cream of the crop. And I even saw an article posted today by one of the Astros blogs. I can't remember which one it was. They said, forget about dynasty. Are the Astros like the best team in all of sports right now? I mean, the run they're on, Eric, it's hard to make a case against the Astros as being one of the best franchises, hands down.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I think that they have potential to make a long run, and Dana Brown is trying to get the work done, whether that's extensions. I know that what we love about the Astros is the fact that they have a GM that's looking to get the job done. And I know Hector Gomez late last night after our podcast came out and said that he expects for the Astros and Framber Valdez to come to agree on a deal before the beginning of the season, and that Framber Valdez is looking for about $150 million contract.
Right.
So just for the fun of it, I actually went and wrote about it on for Gallery Sports, and I came up with I put my GM hat on, and I came up with a contract. And so I went off kind of what Christian Javier did, but made it more suited to what Framber Valdez would get. And I think it was like 6.8 the first year because he already agreed to that. Then I think it was like 12.8, then 18.8, and then 28 million for the next 4 years. Yes, to make it work, it's going to have to be a 7-year deal.
Now, what was funny was the next day, Chandler Rome from the top ropes body slams the tweet and says, well, you know what, Mr. Gomez, I actually spoke with his agent. And Eric, I actually have had a few conversations with Framber's agent, not lately, but have talked to him on the phone. And I promise you, he wouldn't be selling Chandler Rome a bill of goods. The bottom line is this. We know that is probably the next big extension to get signed because, again, the Kyle Tucker one is a little bit more of a layered onion. You got to peel back a lot of things. You got to work out a little bit more. With Framber, I think it's a little bit easier to get done because it's going to be fewer years because of his age. I mean, he's not – we said he was 28 the other day. He's actually 29. So he's into his 29th year, 1 year away from 30. So for Framber, it's going to benefit him to get this job done, to get this deal done now. It actually benefits the Astros if they wait, because if they wait, then he's older. They don't have to pay him as much. So that's what we're going to see. Now, I don't know if you saw the Framber featurette on MLB Network about him building the church. Literally the second story on this church. You and I, we're going to cover it. That's another day, another story. And we were going to talk about this almost a year and a half before everybody came out with it. But what I liked about what Framber said was he loves this club. Like, he came up with this club and he was discovered from basically out of obscurity. And I think him, Garcia, all these guys, Javier, Montero, they have an appreciation for this club and what they've provided for them. So I think a deal with Framber is very likely. I just don't know to what terms. Is it going to be that big of a deal?
Well, and it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. What the agent's saying is that we have not talked to him yet. We have not spoken to the Astros. So that doesn't mean there's not a chance it could happen. Who knows? They could be getting ready to talk to him now. We don't know what's going on. So the agent said that when we do begin talks, we're not going to be going through the media and saying, you know what, we're going to go ahead and ask for about 150 million. Can you go ahead and spread that to all the outlets? Go ahead and make sure you send that to Athletic. Go ahead and send that to USA Today, Bob Nightingale. Let's go ahead and tweet it out everywhere. Let's get all the dirty business out there, the dirty laundry. So I don't think that's how it happens. I think when information leaks, it's because somebody leaks it, not the agent, unless the agent is doing it on purpose to get more money from another team.
Yeah, exactly. I think at the end of the day, Framber signs with the Houston Astros. But, you know, the Astros are such big news, Eric, that even our own Lindsey Crosby's talking about them. He just did a whole feature on Hunter Brown. He just did a whole feature on this rotation, on Dearden being kind of a surprise minor league guy. You know, if you think the sights are only set on Tucker, Altuve, Alvarez, I mean, we've got so much going on for the Houston Astros, and we know the Super Bowl just ended, but that's okay because if you're wondering, well, how do I get involved with FanDuel if there's no more football? Well, it's right in the midpoint of the NBA season. Um, we have all the All-Star voting, we have the All-Star weekend coming up, the dunk contest, the rookies game, the shooting stars game, all that stuff. And I want you to go to FanDuel because it's America's #1 sports book because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. That's bonus bets back in if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app today. It's safe, secure, super easy to use. Then you can bet on everything from the money line, 2-point scores, and threes drained. Like how many 3-pointers will Steph Curry score against the Sacramento Kings? I'm just pulling a rabbit out of my hat. I know the Rockets will play LeBron James 2 more times, and they will play in Houston. How many points will LeBron James score? You can do some props bet versus him, Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün. Will he get another triple-double? Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance to win a bigger payout with same-game parlay. So don't miss the chance today to get your no-sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NBA.
All right, guys. So I don't know if I can do it as good as
Jeremy
Jeremy Pena
Pena.
can do it.
There we go.
But guys, let's go ahead and let's talk about let's not worry about the Framber Valdez talk and extension talk. Let's talk about why Astros fans love your Houston Astros. And I know it's not a secret about why I fell in love with the Houston Astros, and his name rhymes with Agwell. It's Jeff Bagwell. This guy, and he's up there on my wall too. But this was a reason why I fell in love with baseball, just because I played Little League, Pony League for a little bit. I wasn't any good, but I liked playing, and I just used to mimic him, and I just enjoyed just how he played the game, and just how the defense, stealing bases, and just everything that Jeff Bagwell offered to the game. So this is why I fell in love with baseball. So guys that are watching us live, go and put some comments in there. I know we've already seen a few, but go and put some comments in there about why you fell in love with the Houston Astros.
Now, this isn't the ball because I can't reach it exactly right now, but Mark McGwire is really one of the reasons. I mean, I was in love with baseball since I can remember. I believe my first Astros game, it was 2.5, and I actually remember going up the ramps going into the Astrodome. I don't remember the game, but I remember the specific event. But I have a ball signed here, and it's got King Griffey Jr. on it. King Griffey Jr. was one of those guys when I was in high school that everybody looked up to. I also have a ball with him and his dad, King Griffey Jr., King Griffey Sr. But he was one of those guys that I had caught fire. I love the Astros. I was a big Mark McGwire fan growing up. But, man, the kid, King Griffey Jr., watching his swing, putting the hat backwards, my dad absolutely hated that move. When I put my hat on backwards in practice, I think I had to run laps several times because my dad's like, we don't wear our hat backwards. This is baseball. So I had to wear my hat right. Now, when my dad wasn't around, I put it backwards. But I love that King Griffey Jr. just played the game with a joy. He had a smile on his face always, and he was a great competitor. So for me, Eric, it was anybody that I viewed as a hero. Alan Ashby, Bill Doran, Craig Reynolds, Mike Scott, Bob Nepper, all those guys from the mid-'80s teams to the late '90s teams, Biggio and Bagwell. And tomorrow night, my dad and I are very fortunate that we get to go to the season ticket holder event with the Craig Biggio Town Hall, and we get to ask questions to Craig Biggio, Mr. 3000. So that's going to be exciting for me and my dad.
I know. I had a lot of, as a growing up, I had a lot of family issues. Let me just put at that. And there's two things that kind of got me through it. It was Don't Laugh at Me. It was Star Trek. And also, it was on a small
No
black and
judgment.
white TV.
No judgment.
I didn't grow up when black and white TVs, but that's all I can afford for my room at that time. Then I upgraded once I got a job. But Star Trek, Next Generation, then the original, everything. But also Astros baseball. Astros baseball was key to just keeping me entertained, and I just loved watching just everybody, like from Shane Reynolds to all the like Ken Caminiti and just all the younger players, the players when I was younger. Sorry. So it was a big part of who I am, and so um, I think both of us, it's the same, and
Yeah.
it's part of our lifestyle. I mean, I don't think either one of us are like Jimmy Fallon plays in Fever Pitch, where we're that crazy, but we
Well,
are.
have you seen my closet in this room? Have
Well,
you,
you don't have sheets and comforters and all
I
that
don't have sheets.
have
You're
Astros.
right. I'm not that deep into it, but I am
You
kind
don't
of
have. I'm sure you don't have towels that have Astros logos on them.
I
Well,
might
besides the
have.
rally
I'm
towels.
joking.
So
No, but look, and this is what's great about baseball is whether you came into it as a kid or as an adult, whether you've been with them since the Colts, Colt 45s, or even it doesn't matter because this is the era of Houston Astros baseball, and we get to see things like: is Hunter Brown going to be the next Justin Verlander? Is Jose Altuve going to reach 3,000 hits in his career? Will Yordan Alvarez hit 50 home runs? Will Kyle Tucker go 30-30 in 2023? I mean, there's so many lines. There's so many storylines. Like if Lance McCullers has a banner year, could he put himself in the top 10 for the Cy Young vote for the first time in a while? Could he, you know what I'm saying? There's a lot of stuff to be excited about
right.
because this team has so much going for them. And I just don't see any quit or any let up in this team at all.
Yeah. So something that I saw today that Dana Brown said that Dusty Baker, another reason why we love the Houston Astros, Dusty Baker, he has said that he's giving Hunter Brown a chance to win a job in the fifth then 5-man rotation to start the season. So if he is one of the top 5 starters in spring training, he could be in the rotation to begin the year.
So they're hinting on the 5-man, not the 6-man,
Yeah.
right? And that's
Yeah,
probably
there's
because of
no
April.
sense in having a
Right.
6-man rotation in April with all
True.
those off days. So every Thursday, off day, Thursday, off day,
Well,
Thursday, off day.
I love that. And, I think I won't share the whole story because I'll just be repeating myself. But I remember telling Dusty at FanFest the story I have about Hunter Brown talking about wanting to be at Minute Maid Park. He was, glad he made it to the Futures game. And I looked at Dusty and I said, he literally manifested this championship. And he said he would be here at Minute Maid Park helping the Astros win a title. And I love when Dusty just looked at me and said, that kid's a champ, isn't he? And I was just like, he didn't even think about it. He's so natural. He's such a gracious individual. Absolutely love Dusty Baker. And to mention some other great Astros that are up here, Jose Cruz, Jim Wynn, the Toy Cannon, Doug Radar, Joe Morgan. Heck, Mr. Harden says that the Maris and Mantle home run battle in 61 to beat Babe Ruth's record is what helped him fall in love with baseball. So we've got people that span decades in this game. And you know what? They still come back for more. They still come back because even though they're trying to mess up this great game by changing all the freaking rules, it's still a great game.
Did you see Cora saying that the new bases look like a pizza box?
Oh, yeah. Well, like I said, I really hope that they don't have 8-year-olds running after to steal a base with the new larger bases because those kids are going to pull something.
Well,
Those bases,
yeah, no,
I'm telling you, dude, those are heavy bases. I mean,
yeah.
I've actually picked one up. They are not light. And they're not going to move. I mean, they're massive. So that's a regular base. So it's about 30. I mean, it is literally, I forget how much wider it is.
18. So this is 15 inches. So this covers my whole face and whole everything. So so imagine it being 3 more inches on every side, and or just 3 more inches, I guess.
Hold on, put
this
it
way.
back in front of your face again. Heed pants now. Sorry.
I knew you could do something stupid like that.
But yeah, so I forgot you had that base. Was that your son or your daughter that got that?
They both did it. That's when I was a season ticket holder. So
What the heck? Okay, I guess I
And
got to come see when you
Josh
get
Reddick
older.
actually threw the base back to my son, even though he's like this massive guy, but he was trying to help him out. And so as he's running out to right field, he's like threw it in. And
This is
the Astros people were so pissed. They're like, Josh, stop doing that.
this is what we need to do. We need to find a way to do a meet and greet with Jose Altuve and have a picture of your son and my son with Jose Altuve in the middle. That would be
Yeah.
great.
Adam said, where did I pull a base from? I had a base, but
Yeah,
the
Eric randomly. Well, I have a bat. I just can't. I'm not close enough to my stuff where I can just put it up on the screen. So,
yeah, I have a
Eric.
Astros flag up there too, so I
Oh,
have a little bit of everything.
Eric also has a piece of padding
I have a
from
Taos Hill wall. Yeah,
from
so I
Towles
have
Hill Wall.
yeah.
So one of these
So
days, you
one
just
of
need
the
to be
empire.
like, "You remember Towles Hill?" Put it up on the screen.
Maybe we should do like a maybe a YouTube video of just like going through our house or our apartments
Ooh,
and
I don't
just
know about that. That seems
well,
a
it has
little.
to be clean, but just like
No, I don't want
only
people seeing my house.
well, just no, not the whole house, but just like
Okay,
our
you're like,
merchandise.
this is the bathroom.
No, Brett, I wasn't
Okay,
talking about that, but
okay,
anyway, but the new bases are actually going to be a little bit not quite so high because, like, looking at the base, it kind of goes up like this high, but the new ones are going to be a little bit flatter, and they're doing that to maybe prevent injuries and everything. So, let's go back to things that we love,
okay.
and a lot of people are saying steal base, steal a pizza.
There you go.
So,
Sorry, Taco Bell, you've been moved over.
yeah, so we Goyo says Caminetti and Kyle are Astros greats that hit hard, and when they passed, great Astros greats. Yeah. So Daryl Kyle and Ken Caminetti, that's definitely all. I'll remember where I was pretty much for definitely Daryl Kyle. I mean, for some reason, he just meant something extra for me. And I know he wasn't with he was with the Astros for a while, but
Right.
Ken Caminetti, I think that his life was kind of mess,
He
but the
he
Kyle
had a
thing,
tragic. He
yeah,
had, Ken had a tragic story, but when you listen to Osmus and Bagwell and Biggio all talk about him, they still talk very fondly of him
yeah,
because there were some demons that he fought while they were with them. But I mean, Ken Caminiti was an absolute gladiator, and it's so tragic that his career went the way it did. I mean, this is a guy, and remember, we had Joey Vassell on who did the podcast about his life. I mean, this is a guy that was playing in a game down in Mexico City and had the flu. Literally hooked up to IVs, pulled the IVs out of his arm, went out on the field, hit 2 home runs,
hmm
came back into the locker room and passed out because he was so done. He was just one of the great Astros. Again, not every athlete's going to have a great story, but in the end, the Houston Astros will forever be tied with Ken Caminetti, Biggio, Osmus, and Bagwell. And before you show the thing you're going to show, do you know out of Osmus, Biggio, Bagwell, and Caminetti, do you know who bench pressed the most out of those four?
Caminetti,
No, Brad
Biggio,
Osmus.
oh, Osmus, okay,
Brad Osmus actually benched more than all of them. Isn't that
yeah.
crazy?
Yeah. I mean, Shane Reynolds was one of my favorite pitchers to watch growing up, and I don't think I have a Shane Reynolds bobblehead. I was able to meet him at FanFest recently, but this guy, Roy Oswalt, was one of my favorite pitchers ever, and the Wizard of Oz, and he just what he was able to do, it just great, just in that playoff game, and just especially after the Pujols home run, after everything that happened in that versus Cardinals, for him to go in to St. Louis and just shut the Cardinals down, that was great. But there's been a lot of great pitching greats with the
Oh yeah.
Astros, and I mean, I don't remember it, but apparently my family. I mean, they could be pulling my chain, but they said I was at one of Nolan Ryan's no hitters, but I don't know. I don't remember. I was a kid, so
You should you should find out what game it was and just randomly look up random box score like stats in the inning and like, oh yeah, I remember he threw an 0-2 pitch to this person or whatever. I don't know. That's kind of what I would do. Fake it till you make it. But what I love about this team, Eric, right
yeah,
now is we've got everybody coming back on this pitching staff
right,
minus Justin Verlander. And we've got 6 legitimate starting pitchers, and only 5 of them are going to get awarded that position. We also have a back end of a bullpen that is absolutely stellar. And if you think Ryan Stanek and these guys had a great year this year, wait till this next year. I'm curious. I'm curious to see what Phil Maton's going to do, how he's going to be, recovering from his injury. I really hope that he can recover some of his magic and not punch his locker. You can say what you want about Ken Giles, but at least the guy only punched his face. So I'm just saying. He punched his face, so he didn't hurt himself.
You can't break his.
Well, and it's like Nolan Ryan said, you never punch with your throwing hand. So, some of these guys, they kind of let emotions get the best of them. But one of the key things, Eric, and let me ask you what you think about this, is something I've heard Alex Bregman say. He said, I felt better this last postseason than I've ever felt. And I'm going into a season fully healthy, and I'm expecting big things. And I'm like, this dude's going to light the world on fire. Alex Bregman, I think, is going to have a prime year. And who's going to get lost in all this mix until he does something? Abreu. Abreu's a superstar. And we can hardly get to him because there's 6 other storylines to talk about before you even get to Jose Abreu.
He's going to love that. He's going to love that he's not
Exactly.
the guy. He's going to be and he's probably going to thrive on that. I wouldn't be surprised if he hits 25 home runs, has 90 RBIs, because he doesn't have all these expectations that he's been carrying for all these years with the White Sox. And I think that you're going to see him just come back and just have a career year. And I didn't realize how tall this dude was. So I was looking at for some reason, I had a 40-man roster up yesterday during the show, and I was looking at all the sizes, and I'm like, oh yeah, he's a pretty tall dude, I guess. I didn't even know that Stanek was 6'2". I guess I've never stood up next to him.
Well, when we met him at that one game, we were like leaning over the right field wall. He was standing there. Actually, so you said Stanek 6'2"?
I think, if I remember correctly.
Because I thought Stanek was a little taller.
He might be.
Hunter Brown's pretty tall kid. Shoot, David Hensley, that dude's a giant.
Isn't he 6'5" or 6'6" or something?
Yeah, he's huge.
Yeah.
And then there's Altuve.
Leave Altuve alone.
Did you see what Fax Sports did to Altuve? It was kind of wrong. They were like, so we could see how big these bases are. They said we put Altuve in there to measure, and they put a miniature Altuve sitting on the base. I'm like, y'all are wrong for that, man. Y'all are so wrong for that.
Leave our MVP alone. And on that matter, Jose Altuve is the reason why we love the Houston Astros. He's the Astros. I think that of all the players, he's probably going to be a lifetime Astro. And I want to say it's going to be Bregman, but I think that's really up to him. I can see him and Altuve being the kind of the Biggio and Bagwells going forward. And we'll see who else could join the pack. But Dana Brown, you got to love what he has to offer. I mean, he can restock the farm system while retooling and getting players to stay with Houston instead of losing people. And for that matter, you lost Carlos freaking Correa, and Jeremy Pena came in and saved a day and became the AL CS MVP, the World Series MVP. That was awesome. And speaking of what we love about the Houston Astros, obviously we love the bobbleheads. And some of these bobbleheads that we've seen coming up this year, they look great. I know we've only seen the championship weekend bobbleheads, but I'm sure there's going to be more. There's going to be a whole bunch of, I'm sure they're going to have a Jeremy Pena doing the heart one for you ladies out there. And so,
well, that, and then I think on Wednesdays they're giving away the World Series rings throughout the season, so that will be a neat promo to get people to the ballpark during the middle of the week. I believe single game tickets go on sale on March the 3rd if you're not a season ticket holder, and I don't know if that includes opening day or if they're going to do a lottery for the opening day tickets, because opening series tickets are typically more expensive than others, and so it's just one of those things.
Stanek is 6'4", apparently.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I saw that. I thought he was taller than 6'2". No offense, but I was like, man, he sure looks a whole lot taller than that. But Look, at the end of the day, why do we love the Houston Astros? Because we have Michael Brantley coming back. We have Chas McCormick, one of the more underappreciated center fielders in all of baseball. And we have Kyle freaking Tucker, the mother Tucker, the Kyle Driver, the one that is going to apparently hit 400, 30 bombs, steal 30 bases, and be in the MVP hunt. I'm telling you, Kyle Tucker is going to absolutely go off. So, MLB, you've been warned. And when you look at the top 20 players in Major League Baseball right now, or in the American League, you've got at least 3 or 4 Astros on that list, at least, if not 4 or 5. And so this team is stacked and jacked, and they're ready to roll. And what I love about Abreu being here is, you know what he wants? He wants a ring because he doesn't have one, and he's tired of losing. And so that gives me all the more confidence that this team is really set up nicely to repeat.
I just love the fact that this team can lose a pitcher that won the Cy Young last year and Justin Verlander, and people are still talking about them being World Series favorites. So
Great take.
what is there not to love about the Houston Astros? And so we'll see what happens. So Jay asked, is the ring ceremony still going to be in game 2? Yeah, that's what I've heard, that it's going to be in game 2. So it's going to be exciting. Hopefully you can make it out there. This is going to be great. And from what I hear, that I think they're going to be doing the gold jerseys or some type of form of the gold
I believe
jersey.
they're doing the gold jerseys that weekend, I think. And so, and hey, again, tomorrow night on the 15th, if you're listening on Wednesday, and if you are at the event at Minute Maid Park, say hi to me. I'll be there with my dad. We'll be there asking Craig Biggio questions with all the other season ticket holders. So come say hi and tell us you listen to Locked On Astros. I'd love to meet you.
All right, guys. So that's all we got. I know we didn't get to everybody's, but we know you love the Houston Astros, and we know you love the Locked On Astros podcast. So go ahead and subscribe to us. Go ahead and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. And go ahead and continue sending. If you're watching this back, go ahead and put in the YouTube comments. And we have a different way coming up that you can communicate with us soon. So definitely continue liking the Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You find me at Twitter at Eric Coxtros. You can find Brett at H-Town Wheelhouse, and we are the Locked On Astros podcast. And yes, Colleen, I'll go ahead and say it to all the ladies out there who love baseball. Your husbands, your boyfriends, significant others, they have to deal with you all season long as well. And happy Valentine's Day, and go Astros.